Hey everybody, coming to you from my very technical studio of my car, as usual. One day I will actually have a studio. So yeah, last week I posted something on Facebook, and I posed a question like I love to do. I love opening up the energy into a question. So I said, what role does self-abandonment or betrayal, even better. What does the role of self-betrayal have in narcissism? So I wanted to share a little bit about what I know about it via my experience, right? We can only speak from our own experience. It's the best place to speak from anyways. So, I think that in a narcissistic relationship, and of course they all are different aspects to them, and there's different varying degrees of narcissism, from the mild or the covert to the overt and very much visible in your face type of abuse. So what I have found is that the covert or the more subtle version can be even more insidious. It chips away at your self-worth, your authentic self. And all of these patterns really stem from childhood, of course. So for me, as a young child, it was in that generation where, children should be seen and not heard kind of thing. But on top of that, I lived in a household where emotions were not really acknowledged or respected, except for my father's, because he was the dominant energy in the house. He would very regularly lose his temper, and it was typically around money. Go figure, right? So I learned from a very young age to not voice my feelings or emotions, because every time I would be shut down. I would be shamed into thinking, oh, you're so selfish. All you think about is yourself, blah, 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 blah. So, I learned how to survive in that environment by numbing my feelings, not expressing. Okay, so my voice was very, very suppressed. And of course, if you can't speak or you can't express how you feel and have somebody hear you, you're going to turn inward and actually experience depression. And that definitely had a hold on me as a young person. So, and of course this, it plays out in your life, the types of relationships that you attract or get into, will continue to show you these unhealed parts of yourself. So that's where narcissism comes in. So if you have been programmed in the pattern of codependency, which that's basically what that is the more you deny yourself, betray yourself, you lose your self-worth, and you lose your voice, your ability to stand up for yourself. And who are you going to attract? You're going to attract those who like to control and who like to have the upper hand, who run the show, basically. And so the more that you are unable to, excuse me, I need to get some drink. The more that you hold back and you don't voice your opinion, or you don't voice your feelings on matters, you chip away more and more of your personhood, your who you are, your self-worth. And then it's just a vicious cycle of you have lower self-worth, and it just perpetuates where you don't feel like you have the strength, the inner strength to actually have a voice. So in my experience, I had this in relationships with my husbands, but I also had this dynamic going on with my relationship with my daughter. So she learned how to develop her dysfunction from me, of course, right? Well, not only me, obviously, the men too, or their fathers. But, you know, I recognized that she, you know, liked to control me or kind of dominate how things went, you know. But she did this through a very insidious means. Guilt and shame, right? Or blame. Yeah, well, she blamed me for a lot of things that happened in her young life, which, you know, most people go through. You know, they go through that blame stage of the parents. But the reason I bring it out is because for years I really went through this cycle with her where, you know, we would be good for a little bit, and then something would happen where she would get triggered, and she would start losing her appreciation for me, and then she would go through this devaluing stage, and then she would eventually discard me. In other words, tell me that she doesn't want to have anything to do with me, don't talk to me, don't call me, blah, 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 whatever. But we've gone through these periods for like years. I mean, we've gone through this numerous times. And I didn't recognize it. I mean, I thought it was just our dynamic, you know, because we're, you know, kind of trauma bonding, whatever. I told her, I said, you know, we have the same trauma. We're just acting it out a little differently. So the reason I'm talking about that is because I really feel like it's just a combination of two dysfunctional ways of being that stem from similar wounding, but one feeds the other. You know, they feed each other. You know, the dysfunction feeds the other dysfunction. So if you can look at what role you're playing, so I feel like I was the codependent. So, you know, the role I played, you know, fed her narcissism, and her narcissism fed my codependency. So it speaks to disempowerment, you know, like, and the narcissist is always, you know, very insecure, and the codependent is very dependent on others to have outside validation, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyways, I have done lots and lots of exploration and investigation and research energy work and transformational work around all of this. So, getting back around to the self-betrayal, we as humans tend to look outside of ourselves and blame the other guy. Blame the other person. It's the other person's fault. It's the easy way out. But what would it take for us to take responsibility? So if we are in a narcissistic relationship of any sort, any degree, what is your role? What role are you playing in that dynamic? Because you are playing a role. It's not just the other guy. The other guy might look worse, but you're both playing a role, okay? So, yeah, I'm here to, transcend this dynamic, this pattern, this program. It's a program. It's a program running in the collective. And we can heal this. We can heal the whole dynamic. So whatever role you're playing in that dynamic, you need to take a look at what needs to be healed in your particular dysfunction. Your functional dysfunction. And I just want to bring, light and awareness to the situation. And the more that you can become self-empowered, the more you find your voice, the more you stand up for yourself. You keep building on your self-confidence, your self-worth, and you're not susceptible to those energies or those dysfunctions, those dysfunctional relationships don't need to show up for you anymore. Now, is this an easy process? Oh, heck no. I mean, when things are really, really programmed into you and ingrained in you from a young age, there's a lot of layers to it, And for me, the biggest challenge was trying to, keep myself limited, dimmed down, my light dimmed down, my voice, because I was trying to stay in the box she wanted to keep me in. And in order to have access to my granddaughters. So it was, yeah. But every time I would up-level my consciousness, my self-development, every time I would get stronger is when we'd have these blow-ups, And so this last time it just became real apparent that I needed to distance myself. So if you are in a narcissistic dynamic, I feel you can do the best you can within that dynamic, depending on the circumstances. You may not be able to easily extricate yourself. So you can work within those bounds, but I feel like you're full on healing from narcissistic abuse comes only when you leave that environment, completely. No contact. Because it is insidious. It's you can't, in order to have that space to figure out who you are and what your, who you are, what your feelings are, what your personality is, what your identity is, all of those things. You cannot live in a controlling environment where you are suppressed. And you have to acknowledge that, and you have to remove yourself. And so that's what I had to do. Don't know what the future holds, but I'm doing my part, my work to heal myself, which is all I can do, right? So that's my story, and you know, betrayal is a real thing. When you continually deny yourself or your emotions to please others or to keep them satisfied or keep them from whatever, withdrawing what you want or withholding or silencing you or whatever they do, you know, other control tactics, manipulations. You're going to keep being disempowered. And I have done a lot of work around empowering myself, and I now am available to assist others in their transformational process, because it took me a long time to figure out what was going on, you know, and I feel like if I can help anybody else to recognize the signs, first of all, recognize the signs, and then help them walk through what the steps are to move through that and into a state of empowerment and not staying in a diminished victim role. So feel free to reach out to me if you would like some assistance walking through this process. It is very transformative. It's hard to do on your own. I've done it mostly on my own. But I'm here to help. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Facebook at Kathy Jackson Self-Empowerment Coach. And look forward to speaking to any of you. If you have any positive comments about the video, please leave them below, and leave me a heart if you liked my video, and a like, of course. Yeah, I think that's it. I will be sharing more and more. I just wanted to, you know, follow up with that post because I said I was going to do a video on it, and here I am. So, yeah, everybody have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.